It's just here to show you another one of my junk journal kits. Actually, I might do 2 or 3 of them in this one video if I can kind of get geared up to do that. So this particular one, it's done in a kind of envelope style folder. So on the front cover, it's been covered with lace. It's got some of this kind of lovely netting kind of trim. It's got a couple of kind of fabric flowers here. I've got them from a headband. And then here it's got this organza bow. And then there is a paperclip, an altered paperclip, that counts as one of the items. There should be 20 items in each of the kits. So not including obviously the file folder itself, which has got odds and ends that you could obviously cut off, like the net, the lace, the roses, the bows and things like that. So on the front of the this particular kit, there is a little fold-out booklet. It's just in coffee-stained cardstock, and then it's got layered up coffee-stained scrapbook paper, and then some vintage sheet music, and then a stamped image on this lovely buff-coloured card. And it's got a just stamped image in there. So there's that item. And then there's a little coin envelope here in this gorgeous buff coloured paper with this metallic kind of print, very kind of wedding-y, I think. And then it just shuts here with a little stamped and die cut image there. And inside the envelope, let me just check that I've got all the bits, because sometimes they kind of get a bit stuck in them. There is a little coffee dyed cardstock stamped image of a postcard, and then there's a little buff coloured image there, stamped image, and another one here. These are kind of like French, vintage French kind of adverts. And then there are 4 little chipboard tiles. They're just literally painted, and then they're stamped and then inked up with some distress inks. So that's those, and they're just kind of to stick on your pages or in your books. They make quite good you know, little tabs for your tags, things like that really. So that's those. I'll just put those back into the envelope in case I lose things. So that's those elements. Then there's a pocket on the side, and inside this pocket there is another kind of fold out little booklet. This particular one, it's got a fabric image which has been coffee dyed and then stitched onto this scrapbook paper, a kind of fabric ruffle with some lace and a little bow. Oops. And then it's just got some stamped script there as well. And then it's just been stitched on the sewing machine to make a little kind of fold out booklet there, like that. So that's goes there in that pocket. Then you've got kind of this acetate frame with the word cherish, and that's just attached with a brad, so it could easily be taken off obviously and used on your project. It's attached with a brad with a little kind of paper flower that's been slightly inked. And then there's a pocket here with some vintage kind of lace trim, and then it's got a little tuck spot with a little coffee stained cardstock stamp image. And then here there's another little booklet, fold out kind of booklet thing. It's got again a fabric image with some fabric ruffle and some lace. It's been stitched on there, and that just opens out like that. It's got a little lace tab and a little kind of bow and some sheet music. That just goes in like that. And then there's also this little pull-out tag or pocket, however you wanted to use it on your pages really, of a little postcard on this buff coloured card. And then it's just been put on some hessian and then on some coffee stained cardstock as well, so it's nice and kind of rigid. And then on the facing page there's a little fabric image of the Eiffel Tower which has been stitched onto this burlap or hessian, and then it's been stuck onto the pocket with some eyelash trim behind it. It's got some lace there. So again, this could be taken off and obviously used on your pages. And then inside this pocket there is a little tag or pocket for your pages. It's just got some sheet music stitched onto it and some fabric ruffle and some lace. Little vintage looking violin there stamped onto some fabric and stitched on. And then it's got a large kind of acetate kind of pocket. This is, as Amity Bloom would call them, a floating pocket. So it can be moved around in your book. And obviously you can kind of put things in there, like put that all in there because it will just drop down and get kind of lost, but like that. So that's that one, and it's just been stitched onto the sheet music. And then it's also got this, actually I tell a lie, it wasn't actually acetate, it was laminated die cuts. So the die cuts have been placed in between the laminated sheets and put through the laminator to kind of stick in there. And then it's just got some stamped details going on. So that's how that's been done, and then stitched onto the sheet music. Then there's a little fold out booklet. So that just goes in there like that. And then there's also this little teeny book. Again, it's got just some scrapbook paper and then some coffee stained paper inside, and that's just been stitched together on the sewing machine, and a little image of a hot air balloon. So that all just tucks in like that. And then on this side there's another pocket which has got this gorgeous vintage image, and this has been, it's got fabric that's been coffee stained stitched onto this which actually is a vintage cover of a music sheet booklet. So it's been stitched onto there, and then it's got some paper stitched on down the side. It's got one of those junk journal flowers. It's got some fabric trim, and that's all been stitched onto some cardstock to make a kind of another floating pocket. So that's that. And then on the back of the book there is obviously this flower, fabric flower, that's actually stuck onto the folder itself. But again, obviously you could pick that off and obviously put it on your projects. And then here, just attached with a bulb pin, there is another fabric flower with some little pearly kind of centres there. And there's also this Eiffel Tower image just stamped onto this kind of linen fabric that's been coffee stained, and then it's inside a frame. It's been stitched round and got some foam filling, and then a little bow on the top. So they're just attached with the bulb pin, so it could easily be taken on and obviously popped onto your projects. And then there's just some more of that net ruffle down the bottom. So that's kit number 1. I'm going to try now and do a second one, and then if I get time I'm actually going to do a third one. So this is kit number 2, and all of these are obviously going to be on my Etsy store. So this one, again, it's a kind of file folder, but slightly different. The other one was made from an envelope. This one is made just from a card. So it's closed with this elastic lace, which was gifted to me by a lady from work, from her mother. So it's actual vintagey lace. So that just ties in a bow. I'm not going to undo it. But on there is attached with a bulb pin a fabric flower that's been coffee stained, and it's just got a little rose centre, and then this kind of handmade butterfly, which again, it's been coffee stained. It kind of, for some weird reason, the fabric kind of like smudged, if you like. It's kind of got this kind of smudged kind of appearance, which is kind of strange. So it looks quite pretty. I quite like it. I'm not quite sure why that happened, but anyway, so that's that butterfly. It's got a little mulberry flower there and some diamante trim, faux diamante trim. And then there's a fabric ruffle, which has just been stitched on the sewing machine, and then it's just had a piece of lace kind of glued onto it and this faux pearly kind of trim. And then I've backed it onto some cardstock just to kind of make it more rigid for sending out to you guys, really. And then here there's a coordinating little fabric flower. Hopefully the colour's kind of coming out. This is a lovely rich salmon pink, really, really pretty. And that's just been literally made. It's got a felt back and it's just been attached here with a bulb pin onto the pocket. And then in the front pocket there's 2 tags here, or pockets, however you wanted to use them. They've been stitched on the sewing machine. They've got some lace details and things, stamped images, some scrapbook paper. And obviously they could just be used as tags or as pockets on the page. This one's got a little flap, so also could be kind of, oops, I'm holding it upside down. Also could be a tuck spot, like that. Have you wanted to use them, really? Quite kind of versatile. So they just go in there like that. Oops. And then when you open it out, it's got 2 pockets on the inside. So there is a altered paperclip here holding on this very large kind of tag or pocket. Again, it's got machine stitch details there, stamped image and some lace. So that's that. And then it's got this coin envelope, which has got a little stitched envelope on it with some lace. And then inside there, whoops, inside there is just a pull-out tag, which is just on this kind of buff coloured card, and got some sheet music. And then one of those chipboard tiles as a tab that I was kind of mentioning earlier on. So I quite like using those chipboard tiles as tabs. I think they look quite cute. So that just kind of slots in there like that. And then behind there is another one of those large kind of images. Let me get it the right way up. Again, it's got some stitch details and things, and this one's got a fold. So I would glue this then onto the page like this. So just gluing down literally this strip here. So it's a fold back, flip out like that. Obviously, if you didn't like it like that, you could always cut the folded flap off and obviously have it as just a tag or a pocket, you know, however you wanted to use it, really. So that just, if I fold that back, that just goes in that pocket there. And then on the facing page, there's another little coin envelope. It holds closed with a little Martha Stewart butterfly. And then inside there is a little vintage kind of image of this lovely building. And that's just been stitched on the sewing machine onto some card and some baking paper for the nice crinkly sound. So that just goes in there like that. And then in the other pocket there's a little fold out booklet, and then a kind of coordinating fold out booklet there. So plenty of space for journaling. And this one just holds shut with that little postage stamp image. And they just go into that pocket there. And then on the back of the file folder envelope thing, there is a Tim Holtz rosette with a little chipboard middle. It's got a lace pocket here, and inside the lace pocket are 2 more tags. So this one, the journaling is actually here on the front, and it's just been glued onto hessian or burlap. And then this one has got, again, journaling here. It's been glued onto the hessian or burlap and then glued on again onto this kind of graph cardstock. So that just goes in like that. And then there's a little drawstring bag that's held on with a bulb pin. So I'm just going to take that off to show you the little bits that are inside the bag. So inside there are a few more items. So there's an acetate pocket watch, and then there's this gorgeous chipboard tile here of this beautiful rose image. And then there's a couple of chipboard tiles that have been covered with scrapbook paper and stamped. And then there's just one of those little Martha Stewart butterflies there. And they will just stay there in that little drawstring bag, and then obviously just pin onto the pocket. So I'm not going to pin that on now. I'm going to try and do another video of my final kit that I'm going to be listing today on Etsy. So stay tuned. Let me put those to the one side and get the final kit. So, excuse me, there's my phone. Sorry about that. Right, the final kit is this one, which, let me just zoom out a little bit. It's in an altered paper bag. This was just a paper bag from that health food shop, Holland & Barrett. So I've just literally opened the bag out and recut it down the sides, because obviously they're quite bulky and got that big fold up bit at the bottom and things. Didn't need it that big. So I've glued down the sides and just kind of folded up the bottom there to make it a lot smaller. So on the front of the bag, this has been kind of Angie Bunner inspired with the layering. So I've got here an image from the Graphics Fairy, and that's been Mod Podged onto the scrapbook paper, some vintage sheet music and some more scrapbook paper. Then you've got a fabric ruffle going across the top with some of this faux de Monty pearl. And then this gorgeous, can't really see probably, but this gorgeous dark petrol blue coloured velvet ruffle flower with a little ivory coloured centre, which I've just kind of distress inked that. It's got a stick pin. So again, all these things can obviously be kind of peeled off or, you know, taken off to put on your projects, including the trim and things. And then there's a bow there, so they can all be taken off. And then on the back of the bag, again, I've got a bit of layering going up here. With this kind of die cut image, some sheet music, scrapbook paper, and then this other kind of like back of an old book that I had just to form a pocket. Another one of those little petrol blue puffy flowers and some soft netting. Chipboard tile there with a little kind of burgundy coloured rose. So again, all these things can be all peeled off and obviously used on your projects. And up here it's got a bulb pin with a little tiny round tag, some more of the fabric ruffle with the diamante faux pearl, and then it's got one of the fabric tags which has been just coffee stained and stitched on the sewing machine, and it's got a little flower and some faux diamante and things on there. So on the or inside this pocket here, oops, I've now got the paper clip caught. There's an altered paper clip, and then there's a couple of tags or pockets to stick onto your pages or use as kind of pull out tags. They've got stitch details. This one also is a pocket within a pocket, so obviously things can go in the side there, or they could be the floating pockets kind of moved around, or that one could, this one obviously not. But these are stitched onto this original sheet music covers, you know, proper vintage sheet music covers. This one's got a little fabric bird that I've stitched on as well. It's got some fabric ruffle, cute little flower and a bow, and some lace trim at the bottom, very pretty. They go then into the pocket like that. And then inside the bag there are, whoops, various items here. Just check that I've got them all. So we've got here a tag which has just been done with some thesaurus page. It's got some decoupage napkin, some lace ruffle, and it's just been stitched on the sewing machine onto some plain kind of scrapbook paper. There's one of those postcards with kind of decoupage napkin of patisserie items. Then there's a little booklet here, which just has been stapled. It's got a layered up kind of image on the front of a vintage typewriter onto fabric. Then it's had a decoupage napkin rose. And then there is here little envelope containing some smaller goodies. So I've held the envelope shut with another altered paper clip, and inside the envelope, which has just been machine stitched, handmade machine stitched, with some lace trim and things down the side. And inside the envelope there are various items. Yeah, if I can get them all out. There's a little fabric image of a stamped image of a heart that's been just coffee stained, and then kind of Mod Podged it to make it more rigid rather than kind of fray and hessian or burlap. It's a little pearl, little stamped frame image, and then there's 2 layered up butterflies. So there's the Martha Stewart one, and then there's this one which I've just layered up with some book pages as per something I saw on Pinterest. So that's just a stamped butterfly that I've just then cut round, and obviously cut round the book pages the same shape. So that's those items. Then there's also a little chipboard tile, again just painted and stamped, little cardstock postcard. I try to just include things that I like to use on my journals, you know, so that's kind of where my inspiration kind of comes from. And then here is a gorgeous handmade flower with this beautiful fabric and this little pink centre, and then just a stamped image of the Eiffel Tower here on this coffee stain fabric and onto the burlap. That just goes like that, and the rusted safety pin using the Sagita's Coffee Stains rusting technique. Then here I've got a little kind of pad here, which has just been stapled together at the top and then covered with some lace. It's got a little bow and it's got a decoupage patisserie emblem on the bottom. And then here there's some cakes here on fabric that's been coffee stained, stitched onto this scrapbook paper, and then some fabric ruffle and things, a little bit of music sheet down the bottom, and then a bit of music sheet on the cover, and then just a little booklet there that again it's just been machine stitched, and plenty of journaling space in there. And then here there's like a tag or a pocket, however you wanted to use it, just with this little fabric binoculars. And then there's a largish kind of tag here. It says live in the sunshine. It's just music sheet. It's got some ribbon on the top, some coffee stained lace at the bottom, layered up kind of bits here, and then just plain on the back for journaling. So those are all the items. As I say, there should be kind of 20 items in total, but that's not including kind of obviously all the extra things that you could, you know, take off of the bag and cut off and use and things. So obviously that will be going on my Etsy shop as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly really liked making the bag, and I should be making a load more of those because it was really good fun to make. So thanks for watching, and give us a thumbs up or comments or anything if you liked it. Thanks very much. Bye.